Hi, Kathryn here from circleartdesigns. Well, today is project 1 of the July Bargain Bead Box series. We will be making a peacock blue and green Boho Illusion Necklace. So let's gather our supplies and get started. So from the Bargain Bead Box, we will be using the 4mm glass round beads in the rainbow iris. These are so pretty. They really do give the iridescent of a peacock feather. Next from the Bargain Bead Box is your 8mm lapis and chrysocolla round beads. Aren't they pretty? I have to tell you, I had to look up how to say the second part of that bead, chrysocolla. Praise God for the internet. Next, we will be using the 6mm agate round beads in a deep green. This really is a peacock green. I've also pulled one of the 34 by 18mm swirled chandelier findings for the pendant part of this boho necklace. From Soft Flex, I will be using the steel blue beading wire in the fine. For the necklace portion itself, I will be using the Beadalon number 0 crimps. I will also be using the number 1 in the Beadalon ball crimps for the pendant portion of this necklace. And I have pulled these beautiful check glass beads and number 11. I believe this is iris. Let me check. Oh, I was wrong. It is magic orchid, and it makes a beautiful companion to these peacock colored beads. And last, I have pulled one of my beautiful crystal glass faceted teardrops. I'm going to use this on the chandelier itself. We're going to take a little bit of my super glue gel, and we're going to put that right in the middle of that circle and let it dry. I'll meet you back here in just a sec. Now we will be using the number 1 crimps on the chandelier, and we're going to use the steel blue beading wire. Now I want these dangles on this chandelier to run about 2.5 to 3 inches, maybe 3 1/4 at its longest. So that would mean I am going to cut at least a 7 to 8 inch wire, because you're going to double this wire over the chandelier. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces of 8-inch wire, and making the ends meet, I'm going to fold it over and slide the first piece into one of the little circles at the bottom. And no, I'm not using a wire guard on this one, because I really want the beauty of the wire to show through. Isn't that a beautiful color? Perfect for this necklace. So I put the wire with it through the hole, and I am bringing the ends together. Once I get those ends even, then I'm going to put a number 1 crimp on this, and I'm going to bring it right up to the circle, but not too tight, because I want these dangles to be able to swing. So we do not want to cinch this up tight. Now for the pendant, you will notice I'm using a crimping tool. It has 2 circles on it, a large one at the back, a small one at the front. We're going to place the crimp in that back circle, pulling the handles together. When we take it out, we should see an M on one side with a wire coming out of each side of the M. Turn it move it to the front, and then crimp again, and that will close your circle, and it should be secure on your pendant. Okay, 2 more to go. Bring your ends together, run it through the middle circle on your pendant, and then put your crimp on, and let's work on crimping again. So once we get the crimp on, taking your crimpers, put it in the back circle, mash the handles together, it will make an M. You should have a wire coming out of both sides. One time I didn't check that and it did not work. Then do a half turn, move it to the front circle, mash again, and it should make a little ball for you. You know, I'm not sure why my hands keep falling off. I thought I wasn't paying attention, but I am. It may be because my camera has this little black line at the bottom, and I thought since I saw the picture behind it, it's still recorded, but maybe not. Okay, so we have put the wire on, we're putting the crimp on, we're going to take our crimpers, we're going to put it in the back hole, we're going to mash down, making sure there's a wire on both sides, they're not lapping. And it'll make an M, turn a half a turn, put it in the front circle, mash down again, and it should make a ball. Now we're ready to start with the actual beading. On one of your outside loops, put 3 of your 11/0 seed beads. On your 4mm glass round beads in the rainbow iris, followed by 3 more of your 11/0 seed beads. I don't know if I've asked yet, but would you take a moment and leave a like and a comment for this video? And if you haven't subscribed, that would be amazing. Then we will add 1 of our 6mm agates in that deep green. Now this time we will add 4 of our 11/0 seed beads. And yes, it looks like I'm having a hard time with these seed beads, but really I'm having a hard time with the wire. This wire will go through these 11/0s double just fine. My problem is I can't seem to hold the 2 wires together. And now it's time to put on one of your rainbow beads, one of the lapis, another rainbow, and then 3 more seed beads. That pretty. The 3 seed beads will be what we finish off with just before the crimp. And there you have it. Now we're ready to crimp. For the crimp, go ahead and use your number 1, put it on the bottom, and make sure you separate the wires here, and then crimp the same way we've been crimping. It is very important to get these wires separated here because that crimp is what's going to hold this dangle in place. Now did you see that? The crimp just pulled right off because I forgot to separate my wires. Crimp at the back, make the M, make sure the wires are coming out of both sides, make a half turn, put it in the front, crimp to the front. Okay, I'm not making that mistake again. I am separating those wires before I crimp. and give it a nice little tug to make sure nothing's going to come off. Next, you will need a pair of wire cutters. I do not cut even with that crimp. I leave about 1 to 3 little millimeters and then cut the wires. For our center dangle, we're going to start with 4 seed beads, a rainbow bead, and 4 seed beads. So we have our 4 seed beads on. Now we're going to put on our rainbow bead and put 4 more seed beads on. And it should look like this. And next comes the 6 millimeter agate round beads in the deep green, followed by 5 11/0 seed beads this time. Now we're ready for our rainbow, our lapis, our rainbow, and then we're going to end with 3 of the seed beads and another rainbow. And now it's time to crimp. Put on your crimp. Make sure you separate those 2 wires so you don't do what I did a while ago. And then using your crimping tool, put it in the back, crimp and make the end, do a half turn, crimp and close that M up, making a little ball, and then give it a tug to make sure it's secure, and clip your ends. Remember to leave a little bit, 1 to 3 millimeters on the end. Now, as we are finishing up this crimp, I'm going to tell you, go ahead and copy the very first one we did for the last one. And then I'm going to skip ahead and meet you when that's finished. And this is what the 3 dangles should look like when it's finished. Doesn't that make a pretty V shape or chevron shape piece to it? I just love it. Now remember, your beading wire is flexible and it comes on a roll. So if you're finished and it has a little bend to it, don't worry about it. You can manipulate that wire and get it straight. Just takes a little patience, but it always looks lovely. Now, isn't that beautiful? And I just think that little crystal in the center makes a beautiful statement piece out of this. So the pendant is finished and it's time to do the top of the pendant and then move on to the illusion necklace. So I want a 23-inch necklace. It could be 24, but I prefer 23. So I am going to start with 24. I'm going to divide it into 12. I'm going to add an inch for each side to get the wire guard through. And I'm going to cut it, fold it in the middle, and slip it through my chandelier. Once the wire is on at the top, I'm going to put on my number 1 crimp and I'm going to crimp it. Now you will notice that the wire is going straight up from the circle. When I crimp the wire, I want to catch it on either side but I want to make sure that coming off that circle, it looks like it's coming straight up. And then I'll go ahead and crimp. Now to start the top of this necklace, we're going to put on one 11/0 seed bead, then our lapis 8mm bead, then another seed bead, then our dark green agate 6mm bead, then another seed bead, and end with another crimp. And it should look like this, and it's ready to crimp. So this will be a number 1 crimp again. We're putting both wires through this crimp, but this time it's very important that you get those wires pulled out in a V shape when you go to crimp, so that your necklace will come up on either side and not try to come up the middle. And there you have it. We're ready to build the illusion necklace. For this you will need the size 0 crimps, and we will be using the 11/0s again in a 7-3-7 configuration. I like to build my necklace by building one side and then the other and crisscrossing so I can make sure they're lined up together. We will start with 7 seed beads. Then we will do a rainbow bead, the dark green bead, a rainbow bead, and 7 seed beads. Then we'll add a 0 crimp. Then with a smooth chain nose plier, we're going to mash that crimp down across the wire. We won't be using the crimper for this. I am so sorry my work has fallen off again. I hope it comes up in a minute. Okay, turning to the other side, we're going to put 7 seed beads on, a rainbow, a dark green, a rainbow, 7 seed beads, and crimp. And once both sides are done, it should look like this, and you can see they line up real well. Now for the next part. Now laying your piece flat on your mat, go ahead and put one of the 0 crimps on one side. Now actually you can put them on both sides if you want, but working with just one side, decide how much space you want between your components. Move that 0 crimp down and then squeeze it shut with your smooth chain nose pliers. And it should look like this. You can see the space that I have left between the first component and the beginning of the second component. And you can see this crimp that I have mashed across the wire. It looks really pretty because I'm using that 0 crimp, and so it's not real intrusive. Once you finish that side, eyeballing it because it's lying flat, line them up and go ahead and crimp the other side. And did you see me move that necklace and I didn't catch it? I wonder if that's what I'm doing whenever it gets out of the field of vision. Now once you have your second crimp done, we're ready to continue the component we did at the beginning. It will be 7 seed beads, a small rainbow bead, your dark green bead, a small rainbow bead, 7 seed beads, and then we're going to use another one of the 0 crimps to finish this off. I just love this piece, and I found when I completed it that I am going to have enough of these to make a second necklace. So I'll have one for the shop and one for me. So often I don't have enough to keep one for myself, but I truly love this piece, so I'm going to make another one. So we have just mashed down our 0 crimp, and this is the finished component that is an illusion that's just hanging on that wire. Isn't that lovely? And now I'm moving on to the second side. Remember, when we make this necklace, we want to lay it flat, do the left side and then the right side, or the right side and then the left side. That way you're sure to keep your components lined up with each other. So again, this will be 7 seed beads, a rainbow bead, your dark green bead, a rainbow bead, and 7 seed beads, because you've already put that crimp on the other side so it knows where to hang. And it should look like this. Now, isn't that beautifully spaced together? This is so much easier in the technique than trying to do one side and then match the other. It really does work to lay it flat and do each side at the same time. So let's go ahead and fill up our necklace on both sides, making sure our first crimp is spaced evenly before we mash it across the string, the cord. And then I'll meet you on the other side and we'll finish this necklace. And we're back. Now, isn't that a beautiful necklace? I just love illusion necklaces, and I love this soft flex colored wire. It is just amazing. I hope you get you some. For this next section, you're going to need 2 wire guards, 2 number 1 crimps, a closure of your choice. I'm going to be using a lobster claw, 2 small jump rings, and 1 slightly larger jump ring. So let's get started. So, sliding a number 0 crimp on first, you're going to want to put 7 seed beads and 1 of your rainbow beads on. Do not crimp that 0 yet. Next, we're going to follow it by a number 1 crimp and your wire guard. There goes on the number 1 crimp. Now, if you've never used a wire guard before, it's a U-shape component with 2 little pieces on either end, 2 little slots on either end. Slip your beading wire through 1 slot, go around the U shape, and go back down the slot on the other side. Then we're going to pull up our crimp, making sure the wires are not crossed, and go ahead and crimp that number 1 down. And now for the next part. Now you're going to slide up your rainbow bead and cut the wire off the extra tail even with that rainbow bead. That's why I wanted a second 0 crimp. Now you're going to pull up your 7 seed beads with the 0 crimp, get it right up against that 1 crimp that you finished, and then with your chain nose, go ahead and mash down that 0 crimp. And that gives you a place to hide just a little tail of the wire that has come through that wire guard. Now it's just a matter of repeating the process on the other side. Put on your 0 crimp, your 7 11/0 seed beads, your rainbow bead, your size 1 crimp, thread your wire guard through the end, pull up the size 1 crimp and crimp against that wire guard, clip your tail even with the rainbow bead that you've pulled up to hold tightly against that number 1 crimp. Then pull up your 7 11/0 beads, pull up your 0 crimp next to that and mash it down, and you have both ends of your necklace finished, and it's just a matter of attaching whatever closure you would like with your jump rings. And look at that. After this whole video, I finally got a view of mashing one of those 0 crimps across the wire. Now for my closure, I'm going to use the lobster claw clasp, taking a jump ring between 2 chain nose pliers. I'm going to twist one wrist to open the jump ring. Then I'm going to place on one end of my necklace and the lobster claw clasp, making sure that the lobster claw is setting the right direction. I don't want it to be upside down when I go to put on my necklace. Then using the same 2 pliers, I'm going to twist the wrist and put on, and close the jump ring. Now I have decided to use double jump rings on the ends of my necklace. So once I put my lobster claw on and close the first jump ring, I'm going to open the second one the same way. I'm going to put it through the same end and through the lobster claw and then close it. I like the look of this, and I also like the strength it gives it. Now for the other side, I'm also going to use the 2 jump rings. I will use the same size jump ring as I did on this side, and once I get them on the necklace through the wire guard, then I will take a slightly bigger jump ring and add it through both of the jump rings I have put on. And this will be the circle the clasp is to go through. for joining me in this beading adventure today. I've had so much fun making this necklace, and I hope you have enjoyed watching it, even though my hands fall off a lot. This piece will be in our shop, circleartdesigns.square.site, and I will leave the link below. Once this is done, we will be finished. I will add pictures at the end. Now, isn't that just a great look with those double jump rings? Here is hoping that you have a wonderful beading adventure of your own and an amazing week. See you on Friday. Kathryn, circleartdesigns.square.site.